Hi everyone, welcome to Novel Nomad. I'm Tonks and it is 42 degrees today, so I'm wearing my t-shirt. It's my Bronte Kate Beaton t-shirt, which I absolutely love. It's so Byronic, and I'm just going to go through with you today what I like to call my mid to late December hysteria, because every year I participate in a thing called Goodreads Reading Challenge, and that usually means that I have a little bit of a time where I start to panic about how many books I still have to go on my reading challenge. This year, not too bad. I said 100 books. I went above that around, August. I'm like, yeah, I can keep going. I went to 150. So that hasn't happened. So on my reading, I've got 134 books I've read so far, and I have 16 to go in the next week and a bit. So these are the 16 books I'm going to try and read within that time. So first up we have Black Wing Angels, which is actually a selection of short stories by Angela Carter. It is all fairy tale based, and it is in fact a limited edition. So it is introduced by Juliette Marillier, and it has some absolutely beautiful illustrations through it. As you can see, they're all like paper cutout illustrations. So I think they're really, really cool. So I'm really looking forward to this one. A little bit more fairy tales, a little bit more illustrations and pretty books in my life. Get me through this reading craze. Next we have Don't Try This at Home by Angela Redmond. Now this one I actually picked up on the recommendation of Mercedes from Mercedes Bookish Musings. Now she did absolutely love this. It is another short story collection, and I think hopefully I'll be able to get through this one. I do love really crazy short stories. I think they are absolutely insanely beautiful short stories when they're done well. So I'm looking forward to this. Mercedes loved it. It's recommended, highly recommended. Next up is a book that I picked up randomly when I was in Seattle on holiday. It is called Love of a Kind, and it's by Felix Dennis. Now I've never read any of his poetry, but he seems to become highly recommended by a lot of people, and this is a beautiful book. It's amazing illustrations throughout, and I do enjoy a good illustration, or quite a few. Next we have one that was recommended by Jen Campbell, and it is Kissing the Witch by Emma Donoghue. Now I have been highly recommended Emma Donoghue by some of my own book loving friends, but this one I haven't actually heard of before. So it is a selection of short stories with large writing as well, so hopefully I'll be able to get through this really fast. It sounds like it's got some fairy tale mixed in there, so I think it's going to be a good selection for this month. Next we have another Jen Campbell. She has been boosting up my TBR pile for the year, that's for sure, and it is Alan Lightman's Einstein Dreams. Now just the idea of having Einstein in a bit of a magic realism setting is fantastic. More poetry, this time a bit more of a older poet. It's T.S. Eliot, and it is in the beautiful Faber cover. I'll see if I can get a nice close shot of that one. So next one is on very high recommendation, and that is A Portable Shelter by Kirsty Logan. And this one is another bit more folklorish fairy tale inspired, about two women who are having a baby together, and they don't want to tell the baby any lies, but as each other is sleeping they tell the baby fairy tales and folk stories. So it just sounds beautiful, it sounds magical. Even if it's really hot weather, to me this is a Christmas story. It's just something that's magical and inspiring. Now speaking of Jen Campbell, I am actually going to be reading her poetry collection, The Hungry Ghost Festival. Now you can buy this from Jen online, and you can get it signed and everything like that. Changing it up, we've got a graphic novel by Alison Benchdale, her famous Fun House, which is a bit of a tragic comedy, her growing up, realising that she is gay, also realising that her father was in fact gay. And this one was like, I bought at Powell's bookstore in Portland. I had to pick it up. As soon as I saw it, I was like, I haven't seen it over here in Australia in many of our bookstores, so this was a definite must buy. Another book of poetry, this time it's by Paula McLean, and this is her Stumble Gorgeous. Now this one is a bit more of her earlier publications. She does now write prose novels. She has written The Paris Wife, which is about Ernest Hemingway's wife in Paris at the time. So while she's known for her prose, I would like to read her poetry as well. And again, another poetry recommendation from Jen Campbell, because I trust her in all things poetry. It is Corey Van Landigem's Antidote. Now this one just looked beautiful. I honestly bought it because it looks so pretty in the cover, but it sounds like a beautiful debut collection of poetry, and again, I'm looking forward to exploring more modern poets and their works. So thank you, Jen, for the recommendation. This one actually came from another booktuber recommendation, and I bought it because it was an incredibly pretty book and also happened to be a poetry book. And that is Walt Whitman's The Song of Myself. And it is completely illustrated by Alan Crawford. And I'll just show you a little bit going through. It is absolutely stunning. Full page illustrations with the text involved. And I think this one will just be a wonderful slow read at Christmas. I probably won't read it all at once because it's more of a book I would love to savor. So I cannot wait to get started on this one. I just cannot wait to get started on all the books. So here we have is Pelican, another book of poetry by Emily O'Neill this time. And it is not only a stunningly freaky cover, faces, oils, stabbing hands and butterflies. It sounds like it's got very experimental poetry, and I haven't really read that much in experimental, so I'm looking forward to branching out a bit more, not going for the traditional poetry, seeing what is different and seeing what I can engage in and what really engages my interests. So excited. Now I have heard her name bandied about a bit for the poetry recommendations on BookTube, and that is Kate Tempest. Now this is her poetry collection Hold Your Own. She has done another one which is more based on Greek mythology, which is called Brand New Ancients. Another sneaky buy I got in Powers is Some by David Eagleman. Now these are, I believe, short stories as well. They're very, very short, and they've been beautifully recommended, and it is a stunning cover. It's very different from the English one, but I really like the American cover on this one. It is just, it's almost as if it is promoting the magical realism. This is a book, but underneath there's magic and light and darkness and things beyond. And finally, I thought something that would go very well for the current temperatures and season. I will be reading Vikram Seth's The Summer Requiem. This is a book that I picked up at my local bookstore, Dybbuk's, and I picked it up just because, one, it's poetry, two, I have read a Vikram Seth novel before and I really enjoyed it. It was very long for me. I had come out of reading very short, quick novels, and that one was a long, slow novel, but I really enjoyed the themes, so I thought I might give his poetry a try and see how I go. Alright guys, well that is my TBR to be read in the next week or so in my mad December rush. Hopefully I get to 150. If you want to see my progress, you can go to my Goodreads channel. I have linked it in my channel bar, so you can see if I manage to get there or not by the 30th. Alright, well have a lovely Christmas and I'll see you soon. Bye!